Note. Good afternoon, everybody. I will start off with the Secretary General's message for the new year, which was released this morning. The Secretary General said that throughout 2024, hope has been hard to find. Wars are causing enormous pain, suffering, and displacement. Inequalities and divisions are rife, fueling tensions and mistrust. And the Secretary General also reported that we have just endured a decade of deadly heat with the top 10 hottest years on record. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is our new, sorry about that. It's our new phone system, which follows you everywhere. Sorry for that. The Secretary General said, "This is climate breakdown in real time. We must exit this road to ruin, and we have no time to lose," he stressed, adding that even in the darkest days, he has seen hope power change. There are no guarantees for what's ahead in 2025, he said, but also pledged to stand with all those who are working to forge a more peaceful, equal, stable, and healthy future for all people. And you will have seen that that is online, and there's the video as well. And then back here in the Security Council, you saw that this morning, the Assistant Secretary General for the Middle East, Asia, and the Pacific, Khaled Kiari, briefed Security Council members about the hostilities between Israel and the Houthis, which have taken an escalatory turn over the past weeks. Mr. Kiari reiterated the Secretary General's grave concern about the intensified escalation and echoed his calls that international law, including humanitarian law, as applicable, must be respected by all parties. He also appealed to all to respect and protect civilians and civilian infrastructure. Mr. Kiari warned that further military escalation could jeopardize regional stability with adverse political, security, economic, and humanitarian repercussions. And turning to the occupied Palestinian territory, the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs today warned that the very means of people's survival are being dismantled. This includes an onslaught on healthcare, emergency services, and humanitarian access alongside relentless attacks that kill and maim civilians by the hour. And you will have seen that the director of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros, said that Kamal Adwan Hospital of North Gaza is now out of service. He said that this follows the raid, forced patient and staff evacuation, and the detention of the facility's director on Friday. And yesterday, several of our agencies, including OCHA, WHO, the World Food Program, as well as partners like the Palestine Red Crescent Society, delivered basic medical and hygiene supplies, food and water to critical patients, caregivers, and staff who were evacuated from the hospital, from Kamal Adwan Hospital, that is now non-functional. And our colleagues also tell us that 10 patients were evacuated from the hospital, 4 of whom were arrested by Israeli forces at the checkpoint leaving the area. 7 patients, along with 15 caregivers and health workers, remain at the facility, which is severely damaged and has no ability now to provide medical care. The team reported also that the hospital has no water, electricity, or sanitation. And yesterday's mission to North Gaza was exceptional because most of our attempts, over 150 attempts since October, have been denied by the Israeli authorities. Even the few that were initially agreed have faced heavy impediments, as we've been reporting. Between Friday and Sunday, 3 of our 4 attempts to access the area were denied by the Israeli authorities, and only this one was let through but faced impediments. OCHA emphasized that it should not require breaking a siege to help survivors in critical need. Aid workers must be granted safe and unhindered access to assist people wherever they are. Armed looting also continues in the area. 2 incidents recorded over the past 3 days in southern Gaza have affected dozens of truckloads of supplies and further exposed drivers to serious risks. And meanwhile, fighting and Israeli restrictions on commercial and other imports also persist, and these continue to paralyze the humanitarian operation at times when families urgently need food, shelter, clothing, especially as the winter is hitting them hard. Turning to Syria, our special envoy there, Geir Peterson, is continuing his engagements. He has been meeting with French, German, and British authorities. Over the weekend, he engaged also with the Russian deputy minister. And during all these discussions, Mr. Peterson has reiterated the relevance of the core principles of Security Council Resolution 2254. And his message remains consistent. The principles include a Syrian-led and Syrian-owned transition, establishing credible, inclusive, and non-sectarian governance, undertaking constitutional reform, and holding free and fair elections. And Mr. Pedersen hopes to visit Syria early in the new year, and we will continue to update you on his activities. And on the humanitarian front in Syria, over the past week, hostilities and insecurity continue to persist across the country, including in Aleppo, Homs, Hama, Latakia, Tartus, rural Damascus, Deir ez-Zor, and Quneitra governorates. And due to the tense security situation, humanitarian operations remain suspended in several areas. On 27th December, hostilities were reported in Deir ez-Zor, approximately 1 kilometer from our UN offices there. From our part, on our response, OCHA reports across Syria, over 1.7 million people have received bread assistance in 1 month, and that is as of 29th of December. And that's a total of 265,109 people were also provided with other food assistance. And while schools have reopened across most governorates, the volatile security situation continues to affect children's schools attendance in rural Hama, rural Quneitra, Latakia, and Tartus. Meanwhile, partners are continuing rapid needs assessments across various governorates, including pretty much the same areas I just mentioned. And now turning to Lebanon, our colleagues at OCHA say that we and our partners continue to provide support across the country as displaced people are returning to their homes. Since the cessation of hostilities was announced on the 27th of November, over 800,000 people have returned to their areas of origin, according to the International Organization for Migration, and more than 160,000 people remain displaced, however, while the situation remains still fluid. Several challenges persist due to the devastated infrastructure, disrupted essential services, and ongoing security concerns. In many cases, families attempting to return remain internally displaced within or near their communities, as their homes have been destroyed or severely damaged. And more than 60 villages in southern Lebanon remain in areas where the Israeli army is warning residents not to return. Restrictions on free and safe movement exacerbate the hardships faced by displaced families, limiting their access to essential services. And just a reminder that of the $426 million requested for the Lebanon flash appeal, right now it says we are at 78% funded, and the needs still remain increasingly high. A few more notes for you on Mozambique. Our humanitarian colleague said that yesterday we had to put its emergency response activities on hold for 72 hours, and this was due to the deteriorating security situation following incidents of increased violence in the Nampula province and the southern districts of Cabo Delgado. Our humanitarian colleagues warned that this could leave communities severely affected by Cyclone Cheeto without immediate and necessary humanitarian aid. And as you know, more than 272,000 people were impacted by this cyclone and urgently require assistance. That's it. And then just reading for the record, 2 statements that we issued over the weekend. You will have seen that yesterday, the Secretary General said he's deeply saddened by the news of a plane crash in Muan County in the Republic of Korea, which claimed the lives of 179 people. He extended his heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and expressed his solidarity with the people and government of the Republic of Korea, and wished a swift and full recovery to those injured in this tragic incident. And we also issued a statement on the passing of U.S. President Jimmy Carter. The Secretary General said that he's deeply saddened to learn of the passing of the 39th President of the United States of America, James Earl Jimmy Carter, Jr. He extended his deepest condolences to the Carter family and the government and people of the United States. The Secretary General noted that President Carter's leadership contributed significantly to international peace and security, including the landmark Camp David Accords, the SALT II Treaty, and the Panama Canal Treaties. After he left the presidency, he played a key role in conflict mediation, election monitoring, the promotion of democracy, and disease prevention and eradication. These and other efforts earned him the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002 and helped advance the work of the United Nations. And finally, we have received one more payment, and I think Deji will be interested in this payment. China. That's right. So we say xie to China for becoming the 151st member state to pay its dues. And with that, that's it from me. I will take your questions. Let's start with Edie.
Thank you very much. And thanks for not having a briefing tomorrow. And Happy New Year to everybody, a day in advance. First, has anybody heard anything about the director of Kamal Adwan? Is anybody trying to secure his release?
I know that there have been contacts on the ground, but we have nothing to report at the moment. And I know you probably saw that Dr. Tedros called for his release.
And secondly, does the Secretary General have any comment on the announcement by the Taliban in Afghanistan that they are banning all Afghan women from working for NGOs in the country?
You know, I think that we have seen this happen. I mean, since 2 years ago, we have just been seeing the space for women shrink dramatically in Afghanistan. I can tell you that our mission there is actively engaging with the de facto authorities there on this and other areas of concern, because this really impacts how we can provide life-saving humanitarian assistance to all the people in Afghanistan. And obviously, we are very concerned by the fact that we are talking about a country where half the population's rights are being denied and are living in poverty, and many of them, not just women, are facing a humanitarian crisis. So we have consistently called on the de facto authorities to reverse these restrictions and that have impacted the ability of women and girls to access education, work, medical treatment, and humanitarian assistance, and this is no exception. Yes, Ephraim.
Thanks, Florencia. On the patients who have been evacuated from Kamal Adwan Hospital, and you said the UN has been able to see some of them and give them. Where are they?
I am not entirely sure, so I will have to get back to you on that. Yes, Gabriel.
Thank you, Florencia, and happy holidays and soon to be New Year.
Happy holidays.
I wanted to follow up on those questions as well. Does the Secretary General condemn Israel's taking of Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya, the Director General, or the Director, I should say, of Kamal Adwan Hospital?
I think we've been very clear in the fact that we condemn any action that targets civilians and civilian infrastructure. And hospitals, we've called repeatedly for them to be respected as this safe space areas where people go to seek medical assistance. And this is the case as well for this.
Does the Secretary General call on Israel to release him immediately?
I mean, what I would say is that, yes, anyone that is innocent, an innocent civilian who is trying to help others should not be detained.
And is there any justification ever for a director of a hospital to be taken by a military during a conflict?
Again, I think when we're talking about people who are seeking to provide assistance and innocent civilians who are seeking to provide medical attention to others, they should not be detained. And especially when we're talking about attacking a place where many civilians were seeking help, and instead this place became an unsafe space. But I think we have been talking about this for a long time. There is no safe space in Gaza, and this is further proof that this is the case.
And last follow-up, if I may, his exact whereabouts are not known according to his family.
Correct.
His family is calling on all international organizations, including the United Nations, to do whatever they can to leverage Israel to reveal where he's at and to release him. Is the UN doing this specifically, or will they do that?
I know that we have been having contacts on the ground to see what the situation is in the hospital and to obviously everyone that needs to be brought to safety and needs assistance, including the director. We will work with whoever needs to be worked with to ensure that that's the case. Deji.
Yes, a couple of questions. Just now, when answering my question, the Israeli ambassador Noon suggested that both Port Hodeida as well as Sana'a International Airport are included in sort of military activity. That's why they bombed both locations, which is contradictory to what Julian last week told us, which is UN missions secured these two facilities as civilian use. Any response from the UN Secretariat to what the Ambassador Noon said?
I mean, I think Julian said it quite clearly, so I won't repeat it, but also even ASG Kerry mentioned it today, this airport is regularly used by our UNHAS colleagues, and it's regularly used to bring in and out humanitarian assistance. So I will leave it at that.
Okay, so my next question, since you just mentioned that China paid the contribution for this year, which means the second biggest contributor as well as the third biggest contributor, Japan, both pay in full, which leaves the first biggest contributor, which is U.S. How much has U.S. paid for this year?
I don't have the exact figure, but I know that they have been making partial payments throughout the year. Obviously, it's not complete yet.
How many does the U.S. owe for the
I will
UN's
need
regular
to
budget?
give you the exact figure.
But it's not as big as 789 million, right? That's basically this year's budget. So according to UN Charter, if the array exceeds this number, the voting right will be suspended, right?
I will need to get back to you on the exact figure that they've given.
Oh, but there's a lot, right?
That they've given?
They are owing.
I know.
Both are in large quantity, I guess.
Yes,
Okay,
up
okay.
to debate, but yes. I will get back to you on the exact figure as to how much they have, how much they still owe. But thank you to China.
So do you worry that next year when President-elect Trump became the President Trump, would there be even bigger problem with the country, the budget?
I mean, I think we won't speculate for now what will happen with the next administration, but I think the financial situation of the organization, we've been very transparent about that. The Secretary General has taken several measures to ensure that we have liquidity and that we can keep operating. So we're taking all necessary precautionary measures as we see our balance sheet today.
Good luck and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year too. Back there, I don't think can you please tell me your name?
Thank you. My name is Massimo.
Massimo.
We have,
I think your mic is not on. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My name is Massimo. We have the Italian Italian News Agency. Just a quick question. Tehran confirmed today that the Italian journalist Cecilia Sala has been arrested on charges of violating the laws of the Islamic Republic of Iran, actually without giving any details about that. So Ms. Sala, was in Iran on a regular visa. So does the Secretary General have any comment on that? And secondly, are the United Nations thinking about doing something to unlock the situation? Thank you.
I think what I can say and what we have been saying is that we always call on all countries to respect journalists' rights, that they should be able to perform their essential professional functions and their work in a safe environment without fear of reprisals. And I think I have a few questions online. Iftikhar. Iftikhar? Oh, hey. I can't hear you.
Me?
There we go.
Hello.
Hi.
Following up on Edie's question about Afghanistan, the new Taliban order not only bans women from working in NGOs, but the order also contains instructions to municipal authorities to close down windows of all buildings, all high-rise buildings from where women working in their houses can be seen. Would you also comment on that?
We saw these reports, and I think it just everything put together into context just reiterates what I just said, which is that the space where women feel safe and they can safely have activities like education, work, and all these things have just been chipped away little by little. And we continue to call on the de facto authorities to reverse that. I think I have another question. Mike?
Hi, Florencia. I hope you're doing well. I got a question for you here. Vanessa Fraser, the ambassador from Malta, they're departing the Security Council, and Malta was one of the leading forces among the E10 in developing Security Council resolutions related to the Israel-Hamas conflict. She posted today on X/Twitter in response to information from COGAT regarding the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. She posted, quote unquote, "Don't be fooled by these numbers. Prior to the war on Gaza, over 500 aid trucks entered Gaza daily," and she capitalized daily for emphasis. This 500 daily number has been floated by UN officials almost since the beginning of the war, and it apparently seeped its way into the Security Council among a leading figure there. That 500 daily figure has been wrong from the get-go, according to OCHA's own statements. They have on their website that the pre-crisis average per working day was 500 truckloads, but there's only 240 working days at those crossings per OCHA's own information. And per OCHA's own information, only about 73 or so trucks per day pre-crisis, pre-war, actually carried food, and about 80 or so carried medical aid. The rest were construction materials, appliances, animal feed, not really aid per any standard definition of that. So my question is, why has the UN and its officials never corrected this glaring inaccuracy in the information that it's been saying from the beginning of the war? It has skewed so much of the picture of this war. Why has it never issued a correction on this?
I would have to look clearly at, because I have not seen this tweet or this report, and I would have to look clearly at what our colleagues at OCHA said, and I would refer you directly to them. What I will say is that the situation has dramatically changed, and what we know now and what we want to emphasize now is that aid is not getting there, and aid is significantly being impeded, and the number of trucks going there post-conflict is visible to everyone. It's less than what it was before, and the result is that people are dying. So I think this is what we want to focus on, and as for the numbers, I will check with OCHA.
I'll actually send you the link so I can get a direct response from the Secretary General's office. But if you were to find that the number of aid trucks that are carrying food and medical aid are the same, if not more, post October 7th than they were pre-October 7th, don't you think that would change a lot of views?
I don't think that the aid that is getting there now is the aid that needs to get there now. And the needs have dramatically increased since then.
I'll send you those links. We'll talk later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, I think I have Stefano.
Thank you, Florencia. This is a follow-up on my colleague Massimo question before about the journalist Cecilia Sala that is in Evin prison in Tehran. My question at this point is the Secretary General informed of this arrest, has been informed?
He gets briefed daily on everything that happens world news-wise, so I can tell you that he is following the news very closely, and that this has been in the news.
Just another question. And I asked this actually on Friday. Did the Italian government ask the UN help in this situation or not?
As far as I know, but I may be wrong, but as far as we know, this has not been the case yet. But I will keep you posted on that. But I have not been informed on it. But it might just be that I haven't been informed.
I'm sorry. In these cases, when a government doesn't ask help from is the UN anyway will try to do something to help the situation?
I think,
or just let this be a kind of a bilateral.
we will need to see how the situation evolves for now. I know that she's been arrested, and the reason, I mean, I'm not super familiar with the case, but I know that they haven't given a reason. We will be following up closely and see what is there to be done, what can be dealt with bilaterally, and if there is any role for us to play. Any other questions? No? Okay, let's hope for real this time that we see you in the new year. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.